Hello again and welcome back to my channel for the third part in my series where I show you all the coloring books in my coloring book collection. In the series I'm showing you the books I have not colored in, the books that I have whips in, and the books where I have done completed works. And the first book in today's video I'm going to start with is Mermaids Calm Ocean Coloring Collection by Selina Fenwick, which is printed on Amazon paper. I have one colored page in here, and that is this beauty. This was my second or first attempt at skin tone with Prismacolors, so I found that I ended up blending away a lot of the shadowed areas, so she doesn't look as defined as I would like her to be. I used a reference photo for the lilies, the lily pads and the background, and we used white Uniball Signo pen for the highlights. And yeah, really enjoyed coloring her. I think she's really beautiful and came out really well. So that is Mermaids by Selina Fenwick. Next up is Coloring Heaven Mermaid Special with designs by Anastasia Eli Caldereva, and I really am a fan of Anastasia's coloring. Here is one of my recent WIPs. I am working on different skin tone combinations, so this is all done with Prismacolor, and I need to carry on building up the skin tone, and then I want to use polychromos for the hair and the shell. This is one of my more recent pictures. I use polychromos for the mermaids and Neocolor 2s for the background. I took a lot of inspiration from mermaid photos on Pinterest. I used Dovecraft glitter gel and 3D pearl effects for the extras on the page, and I really enjoyed this page. It was a great way to test my polychromos for the first time, and I really liked the way that behaved on the paper. I liked the way I could do the hair more realistic, and considering the way this picture was designed, I just felt it needed polychromos for or it's a similar type pencil for the hair and the detailed work. So overall I'm very pleased with this one. This is another one of my whips. I've been using Castle Art pencils here. There are videos for the skin and the hair, and I'm hoping to do another video where I complete the fish. For the background I use soft pastels, nothing fancy, just pastels you can buy in your local hobby store. I used Jelly Roll and white Uniball Signo pen for the bubbles. I didn't want to do anything fancy with them. And this is another one of my recent completed pages. I did this one with my mom. We used Castle Arts for most of the picture. We used Prismacolors for the pearls and white Uniball Signo pen for the highlights. And we also used Mango soft pastels for the background. And yeah, we're really pleased with how she's turned out. We think she's really lovely, and it was really fun to do something with my mom. And then the final page is this one. I've been coloring this with Arteza. I love the way Arteza creates hair. I found I could do really great hair with Arteza pencils. They worked great for the bubbles, but I did not execute them well on her skin tone, and because of that I am not convinced that I will return to this page because if I show you up close, it's just so gross and streaky, and I just really hate it. So and I'm concerned I've also burnished the tooth of the paper on her skin, so I'm not confident that there'll be much left for me to work with. But on the other hand, I've learned more about my Arteza pencils. I've learned more about creating bubbles, and it was a great learning curve for me, and maybe one day I'll come back to it, but for now I'm sort of saying that I don't want to carry on with this page, just because I'm completely put off and I don't know how to overcome my own internal block. So that is what I have done in Colouring Heaven Mermaid Special with designs by Anastasia Ellie Caldereva. Next up is Twilight Garden by Maria Trolle. In here I have a few complete works. So starting here, I completed the flowers. I don't remember if I used Artezas or Prismacolors. I just don't remember what I used. I think this part was Arteza pencils, but I was using the Colouring Special Effects by Helen Elliston, and she has a tutorial on how to do a rainbow feather, so I did a rainbow feather there. I'm going to go from the back of the book. This is a whip I am currently working on. I used watercolor castle arts as a base on most of the picture, and I've started going over the flowers with polychromos, and I'm really enjoying the way the polychromos work on this paper. It makes the layering much easier. I think here I may have used castle arts or Artezas. Here is one of my more recent completed works. I used Prismacolors for the entire page, and thoroughly enjoyed coloring this. I do have a tutorial on my channel where I just show you how I colored in the petals of the rose. I used a white jelly roll for the highlights around the pink flowers, and then created a frame around the picture with the same colors I used for the leaves and the stem. And overall I found it really great, and it really ties everything together, so very pleased with that one. This one is one of my best works for 2021. I completed this in April. Most of this page was done with castle arts. I got stuck with the cat, so I didn't do the background or the cat for a long time. I used some reference photos of other people's coloring pages, you know, for this book, and really to help me with the poppies. And then eventually ended up going onto Chris Ching's coloring channel and found her tutorial for the cat and the backgrounds, and that's how I completed the cat and the background. And I'm very happy with how it's turned out. I think it's really lovely. And that is all my works in Twilight Garden by Maria Trolle. Next up is Anastasia Ellie Caldereva's When Dragons Dream coloring book. And here I have several pages. So this page I followed a tutorial by Lovella's Colouring, and I didn't have polychromos at the time, so I interpreted her color palette to suit the Prismacolors I did have. So we used Inktense as the background and a base layer on the berries and the leaves. Everything else was done with Prismacolor, and we layered Prismacolor on top. And it was a great way to learn how to color in berries, and a great reminder on how to color in beautiful leaves. And I really enjoyed the whole process, and I'm very proud of the way it's turned out. And that inspired me to move on to another coloring page, not too far away. It inspired me to come to this page, and here I've been working with Prismacolor, slowly building up the intensity of the berries. And I'm thinking of doing the dragon in a white yellow sort of coloring, and then the leaves green, with this part here a bit of a whitish yellow to brown and green sort of coloring. So I've been really enjoying coloring berries. Over here is on the left side is my completed work. I used Inktense for the background and Arteza pencils for the rest of the picture, and absolutely loved how it turned out. I love the way the Artezas behave on this paper, so long as I don't press too hard, because if I press too hard I end up actually wrinkling the paper a bit. And this inspired me to move over to this side, where I carried on with the same color palette and Inktense on the backgrounds and Artezas for the rest of the picture. Next up is my final dragon. I used Prismacolors here, and I started to really focus on building up layers. I don't know what I was thinking with the color of the dragon. I don't think that his colors really work at all, but I learned a lot. I learned how to layer up and use different colors to create the effect I was going for. I learned a lot more about using my reference photos and just treating the page with a lot of love and patience, and it was very rewarding. The dragon definitely stands out. Whether it's the right color combination for the page, I don't think so, but hey, we live and learn. And over here I'm busy working on this page very slowly with Prismacolors, and I'm trying out a bit of a shimmery sort of texture to the wings, and hopefully I will have some more confidence to come back to this. But I can't remember whether I'm using Prismacolors or Artezas or marker Raffines, so I'm feeling a little bit lost with this one. But that is what I have done in Anastasia Ellie Caldereva's When Dragons Dream coloring book. Creative Haven's Enchanted Christmas coloring book by Teresa Goodrich. In my December 2021 completed pages, I mentioned the struggle I've had with the paper in this book, and if you want to hear my rants, be sure to check out my December 2021 completed works, but I don't want to rehash my paper issues, so let's just move on and you can have a look at my completed works. So here I did this beautiful circle along with coloring with Elena. So I found her video on her channel and I just followed it. I interpreted some of the colors differently, and it was all done with Prismacolor and white jelly roll. I absolutely enjoyed coloring this. I used gold acrylic paint for the frame, and I then realized that this picture is all the way here, so I decided that I would color both pictures at the same time. So as I did the sky on the one page, I would go back to the front and, you know, hop back and forth, and completed both pages simultaneously. And I had a lot of fun doing this. I used some mineral spirits to a solvent to help me blend the sky on this page, and I found it worked quite well. And the rest of it I just carried on following Elena's tutorial, and I used parts where I felt unsure of. I would refer to a video, and the parts where I was confident I just went on by myself. Her video is only for the front page for this picture, so a lot of the other bits I had to interpret by myself, and it was really fun. I decided to do the strings of the ornaments in white jelly roll just to help them stand out, because I didn't know what other color to use, and I added a few stars in the process. The other completed works I have in this book are not that one. This one is a whip. In this whip I used watercolor on the sky, the leaves and the berries, the birdhouse, and I've been using Prismacolor to build up the leaves and for the snow. I tried polychromos, but they don't work really well on this paper, so I'm going to need to either use Artesis or finish the page with Prismacolors. Then I have my gingerbread house, which was done solely with Prismacolors and a bit of white Uniball Signo pen. And I really challenged myself with the sunset background. I did the sunset background first, and I'm not sure if that was the best of ideas, but I did it first, so I had to just make it work. I got a little bit lost with the colors for the gumdrops, the presents, and the chimney. So it's a bit of a multicolored picture, but overall I think it's really sweet, and it came out all right. So that is my colored pictures in Enchanted Christmas by Teresa Goodrich. Next up is Coloring Heaven Cutesy Christmas Special. I have 2 coloring pages complete in here. This is my Christmas mouse, which I started in July and only finished now in December. And we used Prismacolors and Neocolors for the background, and white jelly roll for the stars. The dots are all Neocolors, and I have a full set of videos showing you how I colored this page. I'm really pleased with it. I love how he turned out, and I'm really glad that I was able to fix some of the. I had a red pencil leak because I stuck super glue. I tried to put the tip back into the pencil with super glue, and it caused a big red stain on my page. But I've been able to kind of fix that now. So, you know, if I hadn't told you, you probably wouldn't have noticed. But I'm very pleased with him. Then the other page that I've got complete is this one. This was the first Christmas page I colored, and that was back in 2020. And the fur I really struggled with. I made his arm far too yellow. So there's so many different shades on this poor bear. Like there's yellow here, and then there's not much yellow over here, and his tail looks a better brown. So I had wanted to gift it, but when I finished it, I just decided I wasn't going to do that. And at least now I've kind of worked out what's a good kind of fur color for brown fur. Also, it was a great way to experience coloring outside of the lines by giving the baby bear a bit more fluff. And although it sounds quite simple, you know, just color out the lines, for me it actually was a big thing, because I do tend to stick very much within the lines, and not just in coloring books, even in life. So to be able to actively and deliberately color outside of the lines, I felt I was also, you know, allowing myself to step outside of the box, to step outside of the boxes I find myself in, or I put myself in, or other people put me in. And it was refreshing. So not my best work, but I am fond of it because of the lessons I learned. And it was a great way also to learn that if I carry on working with the picture, I can turn it into something beautiful. Even if it's not my best, I can still turn it into something I'm proud of. And this yellow arm definitely was one of those moments where I fought with myself. So I used Castle Arts for this page. And I have got a whip in here. I'm busy using Prismacolors for this page, and I'm busy teaching myself how to color these holly leaves in a bit more of a realistic way, instead of like this one, which I just kind of colored. So I'm trying to teach myself, you know, where does the shadows go, where do the highlights go. This was also a great way to learn with small portraits or small people, not to worry too much about you know, the shadows on the face, but to keep the coloring a bit more simple. So that's been an interesting experience as well. And that is what I have done in Cutesy Christmas Special. Next up, and finally, my favorite book, the book that I have colored in the most, the book that I am very proud of and has got so many whips and tags. Magical Dawn was one of my first coloring books. It was the first coloring book I bought in 2020 with great quality paper. It's a book that has journeyed with me on my coloring journey, and I am really fond of. I love the designs, and I really do want to finish this book one day. So I have my frog. I followed Zucchini Kitty's tutorial, and I changed the colors up a bit. I added some Dovecraft glitter glue for accents, and yeah, overall I'm really pleased with myself. I've also been able to stick to limited palettes a lot better than when I started, and I use Neocolors for the background. I use Neocolors here as well. When I got my Neocolors, I was testing them on something small. This spread I did with my mom. It was our first complete work together, and it took us a few months to complete it. We used Castle Arts for the picture, and Mango soft pastels for the background, Dovecraft glitter glue, and 3D pearl effects. 3D pearl effect here, but Dovecraft glitter glue for the dots, and 3D pearl effects for these bits here. we used white Uniball Signo pen for the stars. Everything else is Castle Arts. And I did use a reference photo from Laura Colors 2. She did this page some time ago, and I just borrowed her image to help me with the folds of the dress. Here I wanted to do a reverse of the dress. So where it's got red and green, I flipped it on the other side and made it a green and red. It doesn't transition very well between the two, and maybe in hindsight I should have just stuck with red dress and green leaves, but in the end it does make for something creative. On the left hand side I used Castle Arts initially for the moth, and then when I got my Prismacolors I tweaked and built up the layers with the Prismacolors. I used white Uniball Signo pen for the white dots and a Scola Tempera paint for the background, which isn't great paint because it's like a chalkboard and it really shows up marks very easily. So I don't like the texture or the dirty look it gives. I wouldn't recommend it. On this page I used Neocolor 2s for the background and Prismacolors for the rest of the page. White Uniball Signo pen for the dots and the stars, and some Dovecraft glitter gel for all the moth's jewels. I was very pleased with how this page turned out, and again it was fun to learn how to bring in lighter tones to my drawings. On the left I used Inktense for the smoke, and I used Castle Arts for the rest of the page. The black was done with Posca pen, and I thoroughly enjoyed coloring this page. I was very, very proud of her. I found her face, I really worked hard on building up her nose and bringing in some of the cheekbones. So I was very proud of myself for her and very fond of this page. To me it was like a fire queen, and out of her mouth were just like, it was symbolizing to me words of power and strength and courage. So she's a force to be reckoned with, a strong woman. On the right hand side I used, I think it was black acrylic, white Dovecraft 3D Pearl Effects for the dots, stars, I stuck on stars, and Prismacolors for the glass. I did refer to some of the completed works I found on Pinterest to teach myself how to add the white highlights on the hourglass. And overall I'm proud of it. I think it's turned out really, really well. The left hand side is my test page. I've tried Derwent Artists on this page, Neocolors on this page, and a bit of watercolor pencil. And I've decided I don't like Derwent Artists pencils. They just don't bring in the same tone. I like much richer tones. So that's just a test page. This page I completed in November 2020, and I did this for my oldest boy. I asked him to pick a page and pick colors for me, so he basically dictated which parts of the bird needed what color. He even asked for a black background. So it was just also a great way to get back into coloring again. As I'd said, I'd taken a bit of a break while we were moving houses, so it was great to be able to sit down and really pick up coloring. Again, this was done with Castle Arts. When I got my Prismacolors, I went straight to this a bunch of flowers here, and I tested the Prismacolors here. And then for a while I didn't come back to it. And I'd wanted to theme it spring, summer and autumn, but to create many pictures on one page wasn't going to work out very well for me. So I decided to use distress inks for the background, and I found that the distress inks worked much better in Hannah Carlson's books than in the Rita Berman books. I was a bit heavy-handed up here. Overall, I think it turned out really well, and I like the balance of colors I've been able to get. This is just a whip, and here I was using Castle Arts and going over, I think, with a bit of Prismacolor, but mainly Castle Arts and Dovecraft Glitter Gel. Here I started with Castle Arts, added Artesas, added Prismas, and eventually finished it. There's soft pastels for the background and Dovecraft 3D Pearl effects for the ring around the center of the flowers and the water droplets. Here is another whip. I used black acrylic for the background, white acrylic paint for the splotches, and I was gluing on stars. And I've started with pink hair. I want to give her pink hair and a neutral skin tone. Somehow in the start of her hair I panicked and I just walked away from the page, so I will get back to it. This is done with Prismacolor. Here I'm also working with Prismacolor, and I've used music washi tape for the background. These are all just whips I have. Here's another whip. I used tea bag and dabbed the tea bag on the background initially, but then I covered it up with eyeshadow, and I'm busy using Prismacolor on the crown. And the idea is to give it green flowers and red leaves with purple jewels. This was the first double spread I did in this book. I used Castle Arts for everything, and I really loved the way her hair came out and the peacock feathers. I deliberately went lighter on the leaves and the flowers so that they were more in the background and the peacock feathers were more in the foreground. I felt that they drew more attention. I also tried to keep the tattoos more muted, so they seemed more like tattoos instead of standing out as their own separate elements. I chose not to do a background because I didn't want to spoil the picture. I was super proud of how she turned out, and decided to just stop there. Here I'm just following Zucchini Kitty's coloring tutorial, but muddling up the colors. Here I used Castle Arts on both pages. I used a watercolor Castle Art for the background, and I used Dovecraft glitter glue for accents on the scales and the eye, and white Uniball Signo pen for highlights in the bubbles. Then I decided I wanted to carry on the same color scheme as this page, so when I did the mermaid I just carried on. I used Near Color 2s very lightly for the background, Dovecraft glitter glue for all these parts on her face and any accents on the shells and the fish. And I gave her blue hair, which was my first attempt at fantasy hair. And I really thoroughly enjoyed coloring her. You can see I'm getting bolder with my shadows. I just started this page with my mom, and so we're doing fantasy mushrooms. here I used Prismacolor pencils. I had started her skin tone with Castle Arts, but I laid over them with Prismacolors. I used Neocolor 2s for the background and white Uniball Signo pen for the white decoration and highlights in her hair. I used Dovecraft glitter glue for the rest of her page. So if you see, it's all nice and shiny. She just felt like she needed some glitter. Over here, I did color along with Zucchini Kitty's video on these bugs, but again I changed the colors. It was helpful to have someone show me how to color these bugs, so I am grateful for the tutorial. I used Neocolors in the background and gold acrylic paint for the dots, and then I just added glitter glue on the bugs for a bit of sparkle. There you can see. Oh. On the left, I am doing a whip. I'm using Prismacolors. I have stopped midway because I put black Posca paint in her irises, and when I was in a hurry and I took my brush and I brushed the page and all that black paint smeared, so I've been very tentatively going over and trying to work with her skin tone and build it up. So I'm kind of on and off with her at the moment. Over here I tried another galaxy background, so I used Neocolor 2s for the background. I think I used Neocolor 2s for the moon as well, and then the rest of the cat is done with Prismacolor, and I followed Zucchini Kitty's tutorial for the eyes. I like the way she did the eyes. This was my first attempt at a galaxy background. I did the background first, and it was the first time I did the background first. I put too many colors, so by the time I got to her hair, I didn't know what color to put without losing the girl in the process. In hindsight, I should have just stuck to either the green or the purple and not have both. I did follow Zucchini Kitty's tutorial for the skin tone just to see how she wove in the fantasy colors into the skin. So she did hers more of a bluish tinge, whereas I did mine with green tinge, and then I did the rest of the page on my own. I added some gold accents to the hair just to help it stand out a bit more. I had tried over here, I had tried with purple hair, but it wasn't working, so I had to erase it and go over with this combination of colors to get this green. And then I added in white Uniball Signo pen and Posca pen for all the stars and the snowflakes, all these sort of stars. In the end, she turned out really lovely, and I am pleased that I did not glue the pages shut or give up entirely, because let me tell you, I hated this hair so much. I actually wanted to blue tack glue, tear these pages out and throw them in the bin. I really struggled. Fortunately, with the help of my close friends and my family, I was able to persevere and complete this page. So it's definitely a story to tell. I don't like how I've done this at all. I need to finish it, but I don't want to because I don't like this shell. And then on this page, I had my youngest son pick out a page and pick out colors for me, and he chose all the colors and gave them to me, and I had to work with them. And this is the result. So this is all done in Castle Arts with Neocolor 2s at the background and Dovecraft glitter glue for the shine. And I was very pleased with how it turned out, and I loved the challenge of taking a limited amount of pencils and working with them to create something really pretty. And I learned a lot here, and it was the first time I started to realize the value in white and creating things with a bit more restraint instead of a saturated bold color. And then finally is my latest whip. This apple is with Castle Arts, and then I've been doing the jewels with Prismacolor. And yeah, I'm pleased with how my jewels are starting to come out. They're starting to take on a lot more definition and shape to them than when I first started. And that is all my colored pictures and whips in Magical Dawn. Thank you so much for joining me for this series as I show you my entire coloring book collection, what I've been coloring over the past 18 months, almost 2 years. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to subscribe, comment below, give me a thumbs up as it helps support my channel, and check out my Instagram. Until the next video, take care and bye for now.